always so crowded with full of busy people, but you never feel hype around so many people, and you can strangely feel the silence. And if I was a little kid and I saw myself doing the things that I'm doing right now, I would be so proud of myself, and I'm so happy and actually a bit shocked, because life is all about perspective. That's the number one thing that I always remind myself. And I like recording everything around me. No matter it's sad or hype, it's like my therapy. So normally when I'm depressed or sad or just having even just a bad day of any kind, I would just take out my camera and I would write about it, and it will make me feel better. But sometimes it wasn't able to write or take video for some reason. Even though I was feeling sad, it would just make everything so much worse. I suffered from anxiety disorder since I was 12. I feel like kind of almost a victim of it. I feel doomed from the very start, and I feel like I just didn't even have a chance to be happy in my whole life. I mean, it sounds really dark, but I'm happier now, I swear. Last year, one of my best friends took me to a local temple at Chatswood, Siqi. It's a place where I live. So I was like, well, it's handy, and maybe it's time to have a religion if that works for me, and maybe things might get better. So I will go to the Buddha confession group on every Tuesday at Nantian Temple. The Buddhism confession group will come here every Tuesday, and they usually start with some chit chats and then sit around the table, talk about the Buddhist stories. And the group leader, which is also the organizer, would prepare a simple Buddhist story for each of the texts and explain the underlying message in the sutra. And they actually start with the meditation before the group confession begins. Normally, since meditation is a key component at the educational system, it is the way that you become directly aware of all these deep connections and connectiveness to this universe. And you have to become directly aware of it to become free of being controlled by unconscious process. And that freedom is liberation. That freedom is nirvana. I'd been invited by the group of trainee Buddhists in Nantian Temple to experience meditation for myself. The members of the confession group can spend hours each day meditating. The way that they sit, the position of their hands, is copied from the practice of the Buddha himself. They still and concentrate on their breathing, not doing anything to alter the way that they breathe, not worry about whether they're doing it right or wrong, clearing their minds of thoughts or feelings of fear and anger, of the distractions of the outside world, just following the breathing and becoming one with each breath. I can't say I've managed to completely block out the sound of the world going on, and it feels hard to stay this still for so long. But if someone were to ask me if I had any anger in my head or my heart right now, I would have to say there's none. It's being practiced over 1 million people today. There are many people who feel attracted to a religion which empower the human individual, either in the understanding of the world or in our ability for us to deal with it. One thing that struck me is that whatever the religional variations Buddhism, issues of suffering are right at the core of the philosophy. Which is very interesting because, in the general over past at least 2,500 years, culture of the East have been very unabashed about suffering. They don't mind putting it to the center stage, whereas in the West, these are issues we can sometimes try to brush under the carpet. And in the modern age, for instance, we've been accused of trying to chart death itself. But when you look at the statue of Buddha, promising to deal with all the suffering in the world, So it does make you wonder that what future Buddhism has as a global belief system, and what's going to happen when the ideas of the East, which put the suffering to the full, start to take root in the West.